There's something nobody tells you about building wealth. The first $100,000 is brutal. Absolutely brutal. You're grinding, saving every dollar, making sacrifices, and watching your net worth crawl forward at a pace that feels almost insulting. But then something weird happens when you cross that six-figure mark. The game completely changes, not because you suddenly got smarter or started working harder, but because the math finally starts working for you instead of against you. My name is Ivan, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why some people seem to effortlessly build wealth while others stay stuck in the same financial patterns for decades. If you're someone who wants to understand the real mechanics behind wealth building instead of just hoping things will magically improve, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up helping you see money differently. Here's what I'm going to show you today. Why getting to $100,000 feels like pushing a boulder uphill, what fundamentally changes once you hit that number, and the 3 specific reasons wealth building accelerates so dramatically after this point. Because once you understand this, you'll stop feeling discouraged about the slow progress and start getting excited about what's coming. Let's start with why it's so hard in the beginning. Before you hit $100,000, you are the engine. Every dollar in your account exists because you put it there. You worked for it, you sacrificed for it, you said no to things you wanted because you were trying to build something bigger, and the progress feels painfully slow. When you've got $10,000 saved and you earn a 10% return, which is actually really good, you make $1,000 for the year. That's nice, but it's not life-changing. It's not even a full month's rent for most people. You're still dependent on your paycheck. You're still trading your time for money. Your investments are growing, but not fast enough to matter. At $50,000, that same 10% return gives you $5,000. Better, but still not enough to change your life. You're still working just as hard, still making the same sacrifices, still watching every expense. The compound interest everyone talks about, it's there technically, but it feels more like compound disappointment because the numbers just aren't moving fast enough to create any real momentum. This is where most people give up. They look at the effort they're putting in versus the results they're getting back, and they think this is never going to work. They start questioning whether it's even worth it to keep saving when they could be enjoying their money now. And I get it. When you can't see the finish line, it's hard to keep running, but here's what they don't realize. They're actually closer to the tipping point than they think, because wealth building isn't linear. It's exponential, and $100,000 is where the exponential curve starts to bend. So what actually changes when you hit $100,000? 3 massive things that completely transform how wealth building works. And the crazy part is, most people don't even realize these changes are happening until they're already experiencing them. Number 1, your money starts working harder than you do. This is the big one. At $100,000, a 10% return gives you $10,000. That's not pocket change anymore. For many people, that's more than they can save in an entire year from their paycheck. Think about that. Your money just sitting there, invested properly, is now contributing more to your net worth than you can contribute through savings. You're no longer the only engine. Your money has become a second engine. And that second engine runs 24/7. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't take vacations. It doesn't need motivation. It just works. And here's where it gets really powerful. That $10,000 gain gets reinvested. So next year, you're not earning 10% on $100,000. You're earning 10% on $110,000. The year after that, it's $121,000. Your money is literally building on itself without you doing anything extra. This is compound interest actually becoming meaningful. Before $100,000, compound interest is a concept. After $100,000, it's a force you can actually feel pushing you forward. You start checking your net worth and seeing gains that would have taken you months or years to save, happening automatically. Number 2, your psychology completely shifts from scarcity to abundance. This one's subtle but incredibly powerful. When you have $100,000 saved and invested, something changes in how you think about money. You stop operating from a place of fear and start operating from a place of confidence. Before this point, every financial decision feels like life or death. Unexpected car repair, panic, medical bill, stress, job instability, sleepless nights. You're constantly worried because you know you're 1 or 2 emergencies away from being back at zero. But when you've got 6 figures, you have breathing room, real breathing room. You can handle multiple emergencies without it derailing your entire plan. You can take calculated risks because you have a foundation to fall back on. You can negotiate harder at work because you're not desperate. You can wait for the right opportunity instead of jumping at the first one. This psychological shift leads to better financial decisions across the board. You're not making choices from fear anymore. You're making choices from strategy, and better decisions compound just like money does. Think about career moves. Someone with $100,000 saved can afford to leave a toxic job and take time finding the right opportunity. They can negotiate aggressively because they have walk-away power. Someone with $5,000 saved has to take whatever they can get immediately because they're one missed paycheck from disaster. Think about investments. Someone with a solid emergency fund and 6 figures invested can stay calm during market crashes. They can even buy more when everyone else is panicking. Someone without that cushion panic sells at the worst possible time because they're terrified of losing everything. Number 3, you unlock access to opportunities that weren't available before. Here's something most people don't talk about. The financial system is designed to reward people who already have money. It's not fair, but it's true. And once you hit $100,000, you start getting access to opportunities that simply weren't available to you before. Better interest rates on mortgages, access to investment opportunities with higher minimums, the ability to buy real estate or start businesses without going into crippling debt. Even something as simple as being able to buy quality items that last instead of cheap items that break. You can start thinking about tax advantage strategies that actually make sense. You can max out retirement accounts and still have money to invest in taxable accounts. You can take advantage of market downturns instead of just surviving them. And here's the really powerful part. You can start taking asymmetric risks, opportunities where the potential upside is massive, but your downside is protected. When you have no cushion, you can't take any risks because you might lose everything. When you have $100,000, you can allocate $5,000 or $10,000 to something with huge upside potential. If it works, it could change your life. If it doesn't, you're still fine. This is how the wealthy stay wealthy and get wealthier. They have enough capital to take multiple shots at high upside opportunities. Most won't work out, but the ones that do more than make up for the ones that don't. Now, let me show you what this actually looks like in real numbers, because this is in theory. This is math you can verify yourself. Let's say you're 30 years old and you just hit $100,000 in investments. You don't add another dollar, you just let that $100,000 grow at 8% annually, which is below the stock market's historical average. By age 65, that $100,000 turns into $1,280,000, nearly $1.5 million from doing absolutely nothing except letting it sit. But here's where it gets crazy. Let's say it took you 8 years of hard work and sacrifice to save the first $100,000. How long does it take to get from $100,000 to $200,000 with the same contribution rate? About 5 years. From $200,000 to $300,000? About 3.5 years. Each $100,000 takes less time than the previous one because your money is doing more and more of the heavy lifting. The first $100,000 is all you. The second $100,000 is mostly you with some help from compound interest. The third $100,000, compound interest is pulling equal weight. By the time you hit $500,000, compound interest is outpacing your contributions. By $1,000, compound interest is lapping you multiple times over. This is why every financial advisor will tell you the same thing. The first $100,000 is the hardest, not because saving gets easier, but because once you have that base, the math starts working exponentially in your favor. So how do you actually get there? Because understanding why it gets easier doesn't help if you can't reach the threshold in the first place. You need 3 engines working together: earning power, spending discipline, and smart systems. First, boost your earning power. Not just working harder at your current job, but actively seeking ways to earn more. Asking for raises, switching jobs for better pay, starting side hustles, learning valuable skills that command higher salaries. Every extra dollar you earn is fuel for your wealth engine, and the earlier you add that fuel, the more time it has to compound. Second, master spending discipline. This isn't about living like a monk, it's about being intentional with your money. Cutting the subscriptions you don't use. Avoiding lifestyle inflation when you get raises. Buying quality items that last instead of cheap items you'll replace. Every dollar you don't waste is a dollar that can be invested and start working for you. Third, build smart systems. Make your money work harder by taking advantage of tax-advantaged retirement accounts through your employer. Use high-yield savings accounts instead of letting cash sit earning nothing. Choose low-cost investment funds over expensive ones with high fees. Automate investments so you never miss a contribution. These might seem like small things, but over decades, they add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional wealth. Here's the brutal truth. Getting to $100,000 requires sacrifice. There's no way around it. You're going to say no to things your friends are doing. You're going to drive an older car than you can afford. You're going to skip vacations and nights out. You're going to feel like you're missing out while everyone else is living it up. But here's what you need to understand. Most of those people living it up are broke. They look successful, but they're drowning in debt. They're financing a lifestyle they can't afford, and in 10 years, they'll still be in the same place while you're watching your net worth accelerate past theirs at an exponential rate. The sacrifice is temporary. The first few years are the hardest, but every month you stick with it, you're getting closer to the tipping point where wealth building goes from feeling impossible to feeling inevitable. And once you cross that $100,000 threshold, you'll never forget what it felt like, because for the first time in your financial life, you'll log into your investment account and see gains that would have taken you months to save happening automatically. You'll feel the psychological weight lift as you realize you're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. You'll start seeing opportunities everywhere because you finally have the capital to take advantage of them. The hardest part of building wealth is the beginning. The middle gets easier and the end takes care of itself. But you have to survive the beginning first. If you're at $10,000 right now, keep going. If you're at $50,000, you're closer than you think. If you haven't started yet, start today. Because the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. The math is on your side. You just have to give it enough time and enough base capital to work its magic. Get to $100,000 and everything changes. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Don't let them down.